The Horn of Africa, a region of immense strategic importance at the crossroads of Africa and the Middle East, is once again drawing the world's attention. This rugged peninsula, jutting into the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden, has long been a focal point for global powers, trade routes, and regional rivalries. Its location makes it a vital artery for international shipping, connecting Europe, Asia, and Africa, and any instability here sends ripples far beyond its borders. Now, the region stands on the brink of conflict once more, as tensions simmer and the threat of open warfare looms ever larger. The air is thick with uncertainty, and the world watches anxiously as old wounds threaten to reopen. Ethiopia and Eritrea, two nations with a history of both bitter enmity and fleeting cooperation, are now locked in a dangerous standoff. Once allies against common foes, their relationship has soured, and the border that separates them has become a flashpoint for military posturing and political brinkmanship. The rhetoric from both Addis Ababa and Asmara has escalated dramatically, with leaders on both sides issuing open declarations of military readiness. Nationalist fervor is on the rise, and the drums of war are beating louder with each passing day. Both governments are mobilizing their armed forces, holding parades and drills to signal their resolve. The stakes could not be higher. This conflict threatens not only the fragile peace of the Horn of Africa, but also the flow of global trade through the Red Sea, one of the world's busiest maritime corridors. A war here could disrupt shipping lanes, drive up the cost of goods worldwide, and unleash a humanitarian catastrophe on a scale not seen in decades. Aid agencies warn of mass displacement, food shortages, and a refugee crisis that could spill across borders. For Eritrea, the stakes are existential. The small, fiercely independent nation faces a direct challenge to its sovereignty and territorial integrity. Its government, wary of encirclement and foreign interference, has responded with defiance, vowing to defend its borders at any cost. Meanwhile, Ethiopia, Africa's second most populous country, is driven by a deep sense of urgency. Landlocked since Eritrea's independence in 1993, Ethiopia's leaders argue that access to the sea is not just a matter of economic development, but of national survival. The country's growing population and economy have intensified the need for a reliable outlet to the world's oceans. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has framed this quest for sea access as essential for Ethiopia's future prosperity and security. In passionate speeches to Parliament and the public, he has called for bold action, insisting that Ethiopia's destiny depends on breaking free from its landlocked constraints. His words have resonated with many Ethiopians, fueling a sense of national purpose but also raising fears of escalation. Just a few years ago, the world celebrated a historic peace deal between Ethiopia and Eritrea, ending decades of hostility and offering hope for a new era of cooperation. That 2018 agreement, marked by handshakes and promises of reconciliation, now seems like a distant memory, overshadowed by renewed suspicion and the specter of war. Today, diplomacy is faltering. Negotiations have stalled, and both nations are preparing for a military solution. Armies are on high alert, and the possibility of miscalculation or accidental clashes grows with each passing day. The world's diplomats scramble to prevent a descent into chaos, but time may be running out. The region now teeters on the edge of war, threatening millions with renewed conflict, displacement, and suffering. As the storm gathers in the Horn of Africa, the world holds its breath, hoping for peace but bracing for the worst. Ethiopia's demand for seaport access is at the crisis's core. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has made sea access a non-negotiable objective. This stance targets Eritrea's Red Sea ports, particularly Assab. The 2018 peace agreement between Abiy and Eritrean President Isaias Afwerki is now strained. Ethiopian Airlines suspended flights to Eritrea, signaling deteriorating ties. Eritrea intercepted an arms shipment to Ethiopia, escalating tensions. Analysts warn that war is imminent, with Abiy seeking to rally nationalist support. The situation is a tinderbox, ready to ignite into full-scale war. Eritrea is on a war footing in response to Ethiopia's assertive stance. President Isaias Afwerki warns against military provocations from Addis Ababa. Eritrea has issued a nationwide military mobilization directive, Satellite imagery shows Ethiopia moving military assets to the border. Ethiopia inaugurated its new naval force headquarters, provoking Eritrea. The border is a hair-trigger situation with high risk of miscalculation. A minor skirmish could spiral into a full-blown war, undoing years of peace efforts. Eritrea faces international scrutiny over human rights violations. The UN highlights issues like indefinite military conscription and arbitrary detention. Eritrea dismisses these findings as politically motivated attacks. Human rights groups fear the military mobilization will worsen the situation. A new war would exacerbate the refugee crisis, destabilizing the region further. Eritrea's political turmoil extends to its polarized diaspora. The diaspora is divided between government supporters and opposition. This rivalry often leads to clashes at cultural events. The Eritrean government views diaspora opposition as a threat. Pro-government events face counter-protests, highlighting societal divisions. The diaspora's internal strife complicates diplomatic efforts. The battle for Eritrea's future is fought globally, not just in Africa. Tigray, still recovering from war, is caught between Ethiopia and Eritrea. The TPLF adopts strategic neutrality to avoid another conflict. Abiy Ahmed's overtures to the TPLF for cooperation against Eritrea are rejected. TPLF seeks a détente with Asmara to prevent further conflict. Tigray's political landscape is fractured, adding instability. Contested territories remain a flashpoint, risking renewed ethnic disputes. Any new conflict would involve these zones, reigniting past grievances. Tigray's peace hangs by a thread linked to the regional power struggle. Ethiopia's rivalry with Eritrea has reshaped regional alliances. Abiy's deal with Somaliland for port access angered Somalia. Eritrea, Somalia, and Egypt form a counter-alliance against Ethiopia. Ethiopia's relations with neighbors are strained, increasing its isolation. The UAE supports Ethiopia, seeing it as a strategic partner. Shifting alliances highlight the volatile politics of the Horn of Africa. Eritrea exploits Ethiopia's diplomatic missteps to break its isolation. The conflict is now entangled in regional interests, complicating resolution. The Ethiopia-Eritrea tensions have global implications. This conflict isn't just a regional issue. It has the potential to affect the entire world. The Horn of Africa is a critical juncture for international trade routes, and any instability here could ripple across the globe. The Horn of Africa's location is strategically vital for maritime trade. It serves as a gateway between the Indian Ocean and the Red Sea, making it a crucial passage for cargo ships and oil tankers. Disruptions here could lead to significant delays and increased costs for global shipping. A new war could destabilize the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, affecting global shipping. This narrow passage is one of the world's most important maritime choke points. Any conflict in this area could severely impact the flow of goods, leading to shortages and price hikes worldwide. Major powers like the US, China, and Russia have interests in the region. These countries have established military bases and strategic partnerships in the Horn of Africa, underscoring its global importance. Their involvement adds another layer of complexity to the situation. A conflict would trigger a humanitarian crisis, overwhelming aid efforts. Thousands, if not millions of people could be displaced, leading to a surge in refugees. Humanitarian organizations would struggle to provide the necessary support, exacerbating the suffering. The international community is stretched thin by other global crises. From natural disasters to ongoing conflicts in other regions, resources are already limited. An additional crisis in the Horn of Africa would strain these resources even further, making it difficult to mount an effective response. The human suffering would be immense, with long-term destabilizing effects. Families would be torn apart, and entire communities could be destroyed. The social and economic fabric of the region would be severely damaged, making recovery a long and arduous process. The stakes are high, with potential global economic impacts. Markets could react negatively to the instability, leading to economic downturns. The cost of goods could rise, and supply chains could be disrupted, affecting businesses and consumers worldwide. The world watches anxiously as the region teeters on the brink of war. The international community is keenly aware of the potential consequences, and efforts are being made to mediate and prevent further escalation. The outcome of this conflict will have far-reaching implications for global stability and security. The Horn of Africa stands at a perilous crossroads, its future hanging in the balance as the threat of war looms ever closer. This region, already marked by decades of instability and hardship, now faces a critical moment that could shape the lives of millions for generations to come. The world watches anxiously, aware that the decisions made here will have far-reaching consequences. At the heart of the crisis lies a deep-rooted dispute over access to the sea, a lifeline for Ethiopia's economy, and the scars of historical animosities that have never fully healed. The border between Ethiopia and Eritrea remains a symbol of unresolved conflict, with memories of past wars fueling present-day fears and mistrust. The international community, recognizing the gravity of the situation, has issued urgent calls for de-escalation and meaningful dialogue. Diplomats and world leaders are working tirelessly behind the scenes, urging all parties to step back from the brink and seek peaceful solutions. Ethiopia's economic needs are pressing and legitimate. As a landlocked nation, access to the sea is vital for trade, development, and the well-being of its people. Creative, mutually beneficial solutions must be found to address these needs without resorting to violence or coercion. The leaders of the region now face a stark choice: continue down a path of confrontation and risk plunging their nations into chaos, or embrace the promise of shared prosperity through cooperation and dialogue. The stakes could not be higher. A diplomatic off-ramp is urgently needed to prevent the outbreak of conflict. Only through honest negotiation and compromise can a sustainable peace be achieved, one that respects the dignity and aspirations of both nations. The international community must play a proactive role, mediating a solution that honors the sovereignty and security concerns of both Ethiopia and Eritrea. Lasting peace will require patience, empathy, and a willingness to listen. The alternative is unthinkable. A devastating war that would not only shatter lives and infrastructure in the Horn of Africa, but also send shockwaves across the globe, destabilizing an already fragile region and creating new humanitarian crises. The choice before us is clear, but the window for peace is closing fast. Now is the time for courage, wisdom, and decisive action to secure a future of stability and hope for the Horn of Africa.